Hey everybody. So in this video, we're going to be talking about neutrophils. So this is just a little chart talking about neutrophils and some characteristics of them. So again, neutrophils are one of the types of white blood cells or leukocytes. And as a white blood cell, one of the general characteristics of the white blood cells is defense. Their job is to defend your body against anything that gets into it. So, with that said, yes, there's some information on what they look like and how we stain them. Um, and that's very important. And you can see these in some of the images that we're going to see coming up, such as right over here. Right? So, you can see in these images how they differ from red blood cells. They vary in shape, but a couple of really distinct characteristics are that number one, they make up the majority of the white blood cells that we're going to see. 50 to 65% of your white blood cells are neutrophils. So when we're talking about the different types of white blood cells, as I said, defense is one of the major characteristics, but there's different types of lines of defense, which we'll talk about. But when it comes to neutrophils, they are a more general line of defense, meaning if you and I both get a cut, we're going to have neutrophils that defend us against that cut. So, in case there's some sort of, as you'll see in this next slide here, in case there's some sort of bacteria or viruses that get into the cut, their job is to defend us, right? So that's one of their major roles, and everyone should have these in their body ready to defend you against just anything. Generally speaking, if it's more specific, if it's a certain type of virus or bacteria that is much more harmful to the body, then you or I may or may not have the ability to defend it because these neutrophils will not be strong enough. And that's where acquired immunity comes in. So, in other words, let's say chickenpox. I had chickenpox when I was little. Let's say you never had chickenpox and you never had the vaccine for chickenpox. If you and I both got infected with chickenpox, I would be all right because I have the immunity for it. You would get chickenpox, right? And that's because we have other acquired immunity as well. That's not what we're talking about with neutrophils. When we're talking about neutrophils, the role of neutrophils is you and I will both have the same neutrophils in case we get cut, right? In case we both get sick with the common cold, things like that. Um, so the moral of the story is neutrophils, they float around your body. They're one of the most abundant white blood cells. And their job is really to make sure that any type of bacteria, funguses, viruses that get in your body, they try to kill them off or destroy them as quick as they can so that they don't get worse. And sometimes they can't do it. Sometimes it's not enough, and then you need that acquired immunity. But that's their main job. How do they do it? They are considered phagocytes, which means that they are going to eat them. Basically, again, I'm making this nice and simple, right? So it's a little more complex than that. But if we were to, let's say, for example, here's an image of a virus, right? Obviously, it's not a virus, but the point is, if that were a virus and this is the neutrophil, let me just fix this here. The neutrophil is going to come in and try to eat it. Maybe a better picture. Mess it up again. Kind of like Pac-Man. And again, here's the virus. So it's going to come over and it's going to consume it. This is called a phagocyte, right? So its job is to consume. How does it do that? Well, they have the lysosomes within them, which are designed to dissolve any kind of bacteria or viruses or funguses that are consumed by that phagocyte. All right. And the last thing here that I'll talk about is the fact that they have the ability to move through the blood vessel walls. So if I were to draw a picture, again, here's a little picture at the top. Let's say this is a blood vessel, right? And we have little red blood cells going through here. Well, what's going to happen is we also have these little white blood cells, which I'll draw in blue. So here are my white blood cells, my neutrophils. If I get cut, or let's say I have a thorn gets into my skin, the purple thing. In pink, I'll show you my skin. So here's my skin. The red is my blood vessel. All these little red blood cells and white blood cells are flowing through my blood vessels, and then all of a sudden, this purple thorn gets stuck in my skin. Well, it's going to bring other things in with it, which I'll put in orange here. Maybe some bacteria, maybe some dirt, maybe some viruses. I don't know. It just gets into my skin. Neutrophils have the ability to move through the blood vessels so that they can get into the skin or other areas of the body so they can do their job and eat up or phagocytize those different bacteria or whatever else just got into your skin. All right, they can move through the blood vessels. They are phagocytes. They use lysosomes to do it, and they defend your body against bacteria, funguses, and viruses. And they make up 50 to 60% or more of your blood, specifically your white blood cells. If you have any questions on this, let me know.